Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. Actually, it's our final episode, unless we have a bonus episode of our second season of Between Two Friends. And I'm very excited today to have a good buddy of mine, William Collis, who is a legendary fisherman and almost as legendary real estate associate, agent, broker extraordinaire. He does a lot of cool things in the real estate realm here in Miami. Welcome. Thanks for jumping on with us. It's kind of the contrast of hairstyles today, man. You have a hat on, but you show everyone those beautiful locks. I'm a minimalist, and yeah, my hairdo. You've got such an abundance of beautiful hair that you got in a ponytail for us. So, welcome, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man.
So, look, real estate fisherman. Like, let's talk about that. How did you decide to merge your two loves, which is real estate and fishing? Because again, I make the joke, a legendary fisherman, but you've got some fishing chops, and you're well known for that down here.
It was probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I was trying to figure out how to bring attention to myself in a funny, cool way. In social media and through social media and things like that. And yeah, one day it just hit me, the real estate fisherman. It's a lot like fishing, real estate, you got to throw out the bait, you got to catch the house or the building or whatever it is and reel it in. And it was just something that I adopted, and it stuck with me. So, yeah.
If money wasn't an object, what would you prefer to do all day, fish or real estate?
So the reason I'm in real estate is because I get seasick. Because if I didn't get seasick, I would 100% be a boat captain, a mate, something along those lines, something having to do with the outdoors and boats and fishing and the ocean. And I just, when I was a kid, not a kid, my early 20s, trying to figure out what to do. I was working at Crook and Crook. Everybody that's not everybody, but a lot of people watching this will probably know the big fishing store on 27th Avenue and US 1. I was working there and, trying to figure out what to do. And I had an opportunity to get into real estate, really not knowing what real estate was about. I just knew that I didn't want to work at a bait store, for the rest of my life. And, that's kind of how I got into doing real estate. So
the first time you told me, I was introduced, William Collis, he's this great fisherman. And then the first time either you told me or I heard, yeah, but he doesn't go on boats. I thought it was a joke, right? Like, well, how else can you fish? Like that didn't even make sense to me. But truly you are canals, bridges, like anywhere there's a body of water, you just fish from the shore.
Yep, either shore or inshore. Go to Flamingo, Chokoloskee, that type of fishing. Anything that doesn't involve me going offshore in 4-foot seas, that I won't do. There's plenty of fish to be caught close to shore where it's nice and flat and like a lake. So that's what I like.
Yeah, so that ends up mostly freshwater fishing then, right?
No. Inshore is essentially any body of water that is not outside of the beach. So bays, backcountry, things like that, and freshwater.
Got it. So you're okay on a boat that's inlet, right? So where
Correct.
The water comes in. Got it.
Correct.
Okay.
What I'm not okay with is being offshore and rocking around like this for an extended period of time.
Got it. So my prized possession here, as I turn my camera, my sailfish caught off the coast of Costa Rica. That's not in your future then, right?
Caught one, man. Nope. Never caught a sailfish.
Got it. Well, that's very fascinating, man. So you love fishing, but you want to do something on land, so you get into real estate. So what was that like? What was your first move into real estate?
So I'm with Kurt Egg Real Estate. I'm still with Kurt Egg Real Estate. Been with them and been in real estate for a little over 15 years now. And when I got into the business, I was 21 years old. I thought, when I joined, I would, be making $10 an hour or something like that. It was better than the fishing store. Um, I quickly, learned that it was all commission based. And I was very fortunate when I started to land where I landed because I had an amazing mentor kind of, take me under his wing and show me the right way of doing things and how to do deals. And at the time, it was a little more focused on the commercial side of the business. So I learned the commercial side of the business um, a little bit alongside the residential side, but our firm had a heavy commercial presence. So I learned that I could say probably before I learned how to do residential deals. And it wasn't until I did a residential deal that I said, this is easy because I had learned, what it was like to do a commercial deal
Yeah.
and commercial leases and the different types of leases and everything is very complicated. Someone from the outside looking in. I've always run, even when I do residential deals, I've always run it more so like a commercial deal. And I could say maybe that's because I learned how to do that first, or because I don't like, dealing with the bullshit of the residential, nitpicking and, it's just, I want to deal with serious people who want to get a deal done. So let's get a deal done. It doesn't matter if the wall's painted, red, paint the damn wall. It doesn't matter. Like, let's get on with life.
Right.
So that's kind of how I got started in the brokerage side of the business.
Man, you really don't have patience for anything that takes time away from fishing, then, do you? It's like, well, I like, for me, working with you before, I find you to be very knowledgeable, but also extremely low pressure. It's like, well, whatever you as the client or the customer wants, like what is that part of your, I guess, real estate personality or strategy come from?
I don't like being sold to. So I don't like selling to people. I don't like pressuring people into, oh, this is a good deal. No, it's like, this is the information I'm giving you. Like, my opinion is this, do with it whatever you choose. I don't like pushing people into doing anything that anything for that matter. So that's kind of where that comes from. Like, I tell people, I'm not a salesman. I'm a horrible salesman.
You find a lot of people buttoned up and in suits, right? But you're more casually dressed. You are who you are. Like, do you find that that's an advantage because it's disarming for people?
Yes. When I started in real estate and for the first, 10 years, 12 years, I'd wear pants to work, a jacket, a button down shirt. And I never liked it, to be honest with you. I always felt like I was, trying to put on a show or something. But, over the last 3 years, I've been focusing more on the investment side of the business and buying properties for myself and rehabbing them and flipping them and things like that. So that's when I do that, because I'm doing things for myself. Yeah, I can wear shorts and flip flops all day because, I'm not having to go out and meet, Johnny Gomez and show him his, space on Miracle Mile. So,
right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So let's talk about that. You've parlayed your real estate experience into doing some things on your own. So what are you doing and what's that like?
So in 2019, I partnered with another friend of ours who Ozzy.
And actually, he's been a guest on this show before. So
there you go.
This might be our first reference to a previous guest. We can link to his episode right here.
Awesome. So in 2019, Ozzy and I partnered up, and it was we had been talking for the past 2018. We were talking about what to do together. And we thought about opening a brokerage. We thought about doing this, doing that. And one day I went to his office and I was like, dude, what do you like doing? He's like, I like buying houses. I'm like, I like buying houses. They said, okay, let's just buy houses. And 2019 was our first year, and I think we did six. We bought six properties our first year. Out of the six, we flipped, I want to say four, and then two um, um, overlapped into 2020. Last year was COVID. We didn't do too much. We only bought two properties last year. And this year, as of will be the end of this month because we're closing on another one at the end of this month. We're gonna have 11 total, three that are rented, and eight that we're currently working on to get fixed and flipped quickly. We're trying to get them done before the end of the year.
Got it. So then and what's, I guess maybe it depends on the property, but first of all, if you're gonna flip, tell us, like, do you actually go in and rehab? Do you just do like some paint and some flooring and you flip it, or you're just not doing anything, but you guys are really good at finding the value deals?
So we look at it on a case by case basis. We've had houses where we're able to go in and, with a few $1,000, some paint and baseboards and just some minor repairs, are able to flip it and turn a profit. Others, which we have three right now that we're doing, which were smaller, like 900 square foot houses that we're doing a major three of them, or two of them, we're doing major additions on, of over 1,200 square feet. And those are obviously a longer time frame. That's more of 8 to 10 months from start to finish. And then there's a bunch in between that, we go in, we redo bathrooms, kitchens, floors, and flip them that way. So we kind of just look at them on a case by case basis.
Right. So you guys don't have like, this is the exact type of house, the exact, like, the square footage has to be within this, in this area. No, it just depends on the property. Why would they not sell it to someone else for a higher price, instead of you guys who are coming in with the best price possible so that you can make money on it, for example?
Perfect example, this duplex. Let's just say we learned about the duplex 2 weeks before it was scheduled to be auctioned off at a tax deed auction. So they had equity in the property.
Okay.
So we were able to come in and say, listen, we'll pay you X amount. You're going to make tons of money from where you sold it or from when you bought it. And we're going to close on this in less than 2 weeks, all cash. You're not going to have to worry about anything, and get the deal done. So that's a perfect example of why somebody would do that. Because if it would have gone to tax deed auction, then they would have been shit out of luck, and we wouldn't have had the property. So that's perfect example.
Got it. And maybe it's a trade secret, but how do you find those deals? To me, you got to be in the industry, and you got to know people, because then they're gonna like, well, Cole said, let's call him. He may be looking for a deal.
Yeah, it's all about, the majority of our deals have come from our connections. Bankruptcy attorneys, real estate attorneys, probate attorneys. Just different people that are in that world that get these distressed properties that come across their desk. So that's how we've gotten most of those deals. And I got to give a shout out to one of my best friends, Roy, who works with me now, and he's we call him our acquisition specialist, because he's like a bulldog when these things hit the market. He goes out, he looks at them, he writes the offer, he sends the offer, and we've been able to pick up a couple deals like that too, off the MLS, which is rare nowadays. So Shout out to Roy. Love you, bro.
All right. Roy's famous now. So what advice, I guess, would you give somebody who wants to get into real estate?
I think they need to find a mentor. And if they don't want to be so involved in the brokerage side and want to work for themselves, essentially, in the investment side, find somebody who does that. And that's where I was fortunate with Bill Kerdike, who, aside from the brokerage side of the business, he's heavily invested in real estate, and showed me that world, and showed me how to look at properties and how to run numbers and do that.
Last question, William, and thank you for your time. But just because people love the topic so much, somebody who's looking to get into flipping property, other than don't do it, what advice would you give them?
Again, I think they should partner with somebody who's done it so they can learn. I think that's something that can be used in all aspects of life. If you don't know how to do something, partner with somebody who does. Don't try to do it on your own, even though you can, but be aware of what you're good at, what you're not good at, and go find what you're not good at and somebody else to help you.
Got it. I mean, what's the risk? You know, not to state the obvious, but you buy a house, you put in too much, and now you can't sell it for as much as the purchase price plus whatever rehab you put in, right? And maybe that's a common scenario for people just trying to get in.
I mean, I think that's the obvious risk, but I think the other risks that go involved are a lot of the things that are tied to these properties that are not easily observable. You know, title issues, liens, structural issues, things like that are more risky than just, you know, the obvious of, you know, I over improve the property for the area.
Right. And then without the experience, then you just like you're gonna learn by getting your ass kicked for a while, like most things in life, right? So
Yep.
if you don't have the funds to learn, then it's gonna be a pretty
Right.
brutal lesson.
Right.
Got it. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us, William. Really appreciate your time. Obviously, you've had a very, like, to me, fun and unique, and really, like you said, like you've owned who you are all the way to where you are right now, and I think that's very admirable. So we appreciate your time. Much continued success to you, and talk to you soon, buddy.
100%. Take it easy.
All right, thanks, man.